Hi, everyone. My name is Greg Bachman, and welcome back to The Ultimate Dish. Today, we're recording a special edition episode with a small virtual meetup group called Les Misfits de Escoffier. That's right, Les Misfits de Escoffier, comprised of Auguste Escoffier School of Culinary Arts graduates from around the country. We're going to keep this intro a little short and sweet so that we can chat with each member of the group joining us today. But to give you a little bit of a background, Les Misfits was formed by these Escoffier students back in January of 2021 with the ultimate purpose to help each other on assignments outside of the classroom, the virtual classroom. Since then, this informal group has expanded with more members across the country, and everyone involved has since graduated from Escoffier with honors, I might add. In this interactive chat today with this talented group of Escoffier grads, we're going to explore why it's important to build camaraderie outside of the classroom walls, how fostering a sense of belonging can enhance educational experiences, and how online connections can turn into lifelong friendships. And there they are. Welcome, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hello. Thank you.
Are you guys excited?
Very.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm excited,
Yeah.
and I'm a little nervous. I'm usually speaking one-on-one with a person.
Gentle Chef Kirk.
to have a whole group like this is quite a treat. And I think that it might right off the bat make most sense to go kind of round robin style and start with a brief introduction. Perhaps, introduce yourself, where you're calling in from, and sort of where you're standing at the stoves these days. Should we start with Gino? He'd be disappointed if I didn't call on him first.
Sure, no problem, Chef. Hi, my name is Gino Vento, and I come from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And Escoffier has helped me with my business. I have 5 restaurant locations with licensees and opening my 6th one in another month. So just keeping the ball rolling, kind of getting my name everywhere and enjoying the culinary experience with Escoffier.
I love it. Thank you for that. I heard somebody earlier say something about your photo at the airport. Are you at the airport as well?
Yeah, I have my own selfie wall at the airport.
We'll get into that in a minute.
Okay.
Alicia.
Well, I'm kind of in the middle of everything. I think I'm going to get into doing some videos, possibly. Maybe do some ways to tailgate and make things to go out in the wilderness, maybe in your Jeep or on a boat, and prepare food and focus on how to keep things clean, focus on some hygiene when you're on the water or traveling through the woods, and bringing food with you. I hate going on the boat or out in the wild and not have any good food. Everybody's taking just chips and dips and things. So I like to raise that up. And I still etch on granite. So I'm an artist and I paint and I have a paint studio. So I'm right now trying to figure out how to encapsulate all of these ideas into, some sort of cohesive bubble.
I love it. It sounds like you're busy, and you're coming to us from the land of 10,000 lakes. Is that right?
Yes. And I'm on one of those.
And you're on one of those, and you've got the Escoffier crown above you there. Perfect timing. Nice staging there.
Thank you. And yes, I did create that.
Welcome. Oh, you did. You painted that. Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
It's actually a chalkboard that I can erase and change that.
Oh, I love it.
But I made that on the first day of school, and there it has remained.
Oh my goodness, I love that.
And now it does have, my tassel, and
yes, it does.
I've added to it. Mm-hmm.
I was one of the first to see you in that tassel when you graduated here in Boulder, right? Very nice.
Yeah, that day was days of my life. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, beautiful. It was a beautiful day, and you had the opportunity to speak. So I think we had 2,000 guests that day. It was not a small house. Yeah.
It was not.
Natalia.
My palms are sweaty now just thinking of it.
Oh, good. That's good. Natalia.
Hi. My name is Natalia Lepore-Hagen. I'm coming to you from Philadelphia, where I just started my own pasta company called Midnight Pasta. I started in March, so I'm a baby company. I'm very excited about that. I'm also doing content creating. I work for Legal Seafoods. I work with Legal Seafoods, and I work with a small olive oil company that has small batch olive oil from Florence. I make videos for them. I do other content creating for different small companies and bigger brands. And so I just cook on screen, which is really fun. And I promote my small pasta company, which is all hand formed and hand rolled small batch pasta that is just all very specific and tiny, and you can come and get it at one spot. And if it's not there, it's not there, but it's kind of like adding a little mystique. So,
And tell us the name of the pasta company again.
my pasta company is called Midnight Pasta.
Midnight Pasta.
Yes, because it's what my family always would do. We're Italian and we would go out. We're American Italian, and we'd go out and we'd go drinking. And then at night, we would come home at midnight and everybody would sit and talk about their nights and eat like a big, gorgeous bowl of oily pasta and soak everything up. So that's where the name came from.
Am I the only one with chills just on top of chills? This is insane. No pressure, Luis. No pressure. Come on, buddy. Top that.
All right. So anyway, I'm Luis Rodriguez from Puerto Rico, and right now I'm working trying to get going as a private chef, and also helping any Escoffier students here in the island. Helping them out through the course.
I love it. Thank you so much. And you graduated. You also served our country, right, Luis? Thank you for that.
Correct. Thank you very much. Thanks. Yeah.
Absolutely. Travis, where are you, buddy?
My name is Travis Bill. Currently, I was born in Lafayette, Louisiana, but pretty much, to be honest with you, I'm kind of everywhere. I'm in Lafayette, I'm in Baton Rouge and New Orleans. So I'm a traveling chef as well. I am I'm the owner, and I am the owner of Chef TB's Experience, and I cater special exclusive events. I do private events, private parties, and I offer personal chef services as well as meal preps.
Unbelievable. Are you guys feeling this theme of entrepreneurship and every quadrant that we go into? Unbelievable. Not the pressure is building for Brett. Here we go.
Oh man.
Come on, buddy. Come on.
All right. Well, it's a long story, but
we've got time.
When I went I've been a hospital chef my entire career. I've been doing that for about 8 years. And when I attended Escoffier, I was managing a kitchen of about 15 people, and then we served about 138 hospital patients a day. And we fed the staff and did a lot of on-site caterings too, which is fun. And I since then have become a chef instructor. So now I teach teenagers and adults basically the fundamentals that I learned at Escoffier, and it's inspired me to become like a private chef. Like meal planning isn't that big here in North Carolina, and I think it's a great opportunity for me to hop onto, as well as I'd like to do private events, like maybe like anniversary dinners, and just kind of catering to the people that just want a good quality meal. And in Charlotte, there's a lot of opportunity, and I've been working towards that. I've been doing that for about 3 months now. And I'm actually auditioning for a chef position in Nashville, Tennessee next weekend at a company that does a lot of wedding venues and stuff. And I think that would be really great. So I'm growing and I'm changing, and I love every bit of it.
I love it. And thanks for the work that you've done in the hospital space. We all know, we've probably all spent some time, in a hospital, either ourselves or with a loved one. There's opportunity there, right?
There is. Hospitals never close. So I've worked every single holiday imaginable, and I got to do it all through the pandemic too. So
taking care of others.
It was a lot of work, but it was great.
I am so touched by, and we haven't even gotten started yet. What amazing. We could stop right now, and this has been a pretty good day.
We got the best for last coming up.
Congratulations. But before we dive into some other questions, I wanted to get up to the top of my screen Chef Lee is up there with us today. She's an instructor with us at Escoffier, and somehow she got talked into this little group. How are you doing, Chef?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm dialing in from Salem, Oregon, just about an hour south of Portland. And I'm thrilled to be here. I tell you, I had Luis and Travis and Gino in my last farm to table class that I taught before I went on to teach culinary foundations. And it was like, the icing on the cake there to have these guys as students and observe their passion for what they were doing and watch their growth and all of those things. So when they asked me to be a misfit, I was very honored. And it's been nice to watch everyone's career develop and grow.
I love that. And what you may not know, Chef, is that you're sitting in Salem, Oregon. And so I have 4 children, and my second baby, Kirsten, lives in West Salem with her husband, Caleb, and my 2 grandbabies, Clay and Rose Kennedy. She's a physical therapist in West Salem there. She's been in that area for a long time. And I went to the University of Oregon. So Oregon is a very, very special place. So
yeah, it is. It is. I love it here.
What a nice surprise. Yeah. Well, in the intro, everyone, I gave our listeners, and many students are going to listen. They're going to be very, very interested. And we gave a little bit of insight, just a tiny bit of insight on how Les Misfits de Escoffier came to be. But I'd love you to take a deeper dive into the origin of the story here. And Luis, I know that you and Gino and Brett were sort of the founding members, guilty as charged. So I'll pass the baton to you, if you will. Can you, more than anything, share with our audience how and why Les Misfits started, and also the inspiration behind the name?
I guess I can get into this one. It all started with one phone call. I think either Brett called me or I called him, and then we called Gino, and it was just a matter of like we were looking for help, some assurance. Hey, am I doing this right? Am I going? How do you send the assignment? Am I?
Google Drive.
What kind of problems are you having? And it just took off from there. And sometimes we just wanted to vent. And I'll throw myself under the bus here. I did the focaccia 5 times. So
you forbid anyone else to say anything about focaccia, and here you go. With focaccia.
I can say it.
You get to say it. Okay.
I get to say it.
Sorry,
Nobody
guys,
throws me under the bus.
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, it was a lot of calls to see how we doing this. It's a lot of assurance from each other that, yeah, you're going through the same problems I'm going. Yeah, I'm not the only one going through those problems. The name took a little while. We didn't want to be like goody two shoes, too safe, too cool. So hence the name Misfits. So misfits of what? I'm a big follower of the disciples. So we just said, instead of disciple of Escoffier, we said Misfits, Escoffier. Now, and I have to say right away that we mean no disrespect to the disciples. We completely respect, look up to, and understand and appreciate what they stand for. So no disrespect, there's no sarcasm or nothing. But that's where the name came from.
No, and it's clever.
Play that.
Yeah. And remember what you said to me, Luis, when you
no, I don't.
Videos?
No, I don't.
When we first started talking, I'm very intense, like very A personality. I'm very focused, and when there's distractions in the class or whatever going on, and I'm just sitting here like this, and he goes, "Man, what is wrong with this guy over here? He's such a stone face. He doesn't smile." And I'm like, "Really? I don't smile?" And I look back at videos. I'm like, "Oh, you're right." But I was having a good time. But I was just so serious and engaged with everything, especially Chef Lee. She was just amazing. And
absolutely
great teacher with side notes on cooking and making things, and sometimes tweaking a recipe because it wasn't written in the right format or whatever, but she was always attention to detail and always strive for us to do better. Right, Travis, with the Dumbo?
Most definitely.
And Brett, you were part of that original trio as well?
I was, and so my earliest recollection of the forming of the group was Luis and I, we shared a class together, and I think Gino did too. And it was during the pandemic. Everything's, of course, on webcams and stuff like that. So there were some technical issues on the Escoffier side, and we were all in the same room together. And, we're running late. It was like 5-10 minutes after class should have started. So I was just talking with everybody, and we started reviewing the last week's assignment and material that we should have studied. And I took the reins. I'm not one that normally does something like that, but I took the reins, and I was talking to everyone via Zoom, like how we're doing now. And Luis hit me up. He's like, "Hey man, you're pretty cool. You know what you're doing, and we just kind of hit it off from there. And it's like, let's get a group of people together." And I told him, I was like, "It's cool. I'm from North Carolina, and I don't have too many friends. It would be great to have some classmates that are friends." And that's something hard to do, like when you're not attending a physical university. So Luis and Gino, they got us all together. Like, let's form a group, and then we became the Avengers after that. I know we're called the Les Misfits, but we got a team together, and everybody started growing. And there were great people in all of our classes. And then Luis and Gina would be like, "Hey, how about this person for our group? Because they're really cool for these reasons." And it's like, come on, the more the merrier. And we just kind of embrace it. And now we have a great connection of culinary students from all across the country, and it's great, and because we've all become close friends ever since attending school together, and it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me, for sure.
So well said, and it feels kind of organic, right? Because you can't make someone feel a certain way, but we see it on the ground campus too, right? People like community. People like to. Yes. Especially when it's a common theme, right? We're all going to culinary school, so we should spend time together. We should learn from each other. You're the best student you'll ever be when you're a student, right? And why not share that love? So particularly during, a pandemic, when you think back all the way to 2021, it was a scary time, right? And so I imagine some of that camaraderie, some of that thoughtful expression of a thoughtfulness of expression was comforting for all of you, right?
Yes, definitely.
How Travis, why don't you kind of jump in there a little bit? And again, just share whatever you'd like, but I'm curious, they got a group started. They're obviously some pretty cool people. Mm-hmm. But what was it that attracted you to this group? Was it the individuals? Was it this idea of a community and you wanted to be a part of it? Were you hungry for more knowledge? What brought you to the group?
Well, actually, definitely it was the community. I feel that, community is important no matter where you are. I could have gone through school and I could have, did what I needed to do alone, but still in the sense of community, understanding the struggles that we all shared, in each assignment, all the material and stuff like that. So when we could get together, when you get together with someone and you share the same struggles and you try to figure things out, try to work things out, and this person may have a little knowledge on this cuisine because that's their culture and vice versa. It just made for a great sense of community. And I think it all made us better as a group and as people.
No, I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Well,
I'm curious, Lisa, Natalia, how did you feel that being part of this group also supported your educational experience? Right? Clearly, it's probably a lot of fun to be around these guys. But how did it impact your experience? You all graduated with honors. You've all found unbelievable success in your careers. But I'm really curious, when you were in the moment, when you were there and you're busy cooking pasta at midnight and things like that, how do you find time for a group like this? And then how does it fit into the equation?
It helped so much, honestly, because going to school online for cooking, right? I know, I'm sorry to say, it kind of seems counterintuitive, right? So you're looking at a screen, you're doing it at home. The teachers are absolutely, the instructors, the professors are absolutely so there for you whenever you need them, texting, calling, it's incredible. But there's also this like moment of this camaraderie where you're like, I kind of want to say like, hey, I'm screwing this up. What is this? Like, sorry, Luis, your focaccia, like you weren't studying that to your professor, you're studying it to us, And that was like, that was so cool though, that we could be like, I'm screwing this up. How are you guys doing? I was doing some of my lessons while I was camping out in Death Valley. And so I was sending you guys those things. We were talking about that. We were discussing things. It was cool to be able to on the side text each other and be like, oh, I did this way, or oh, I didn't do it that way. And I really loved that. And also I was vetted before I got in this group, by the way.
I think we
They
both
literally,
were.
yes, they gave me an interview. They interviewed me. And I was like, I
We
called my
did.
mom and I was like, there's this group of
Is that
friends.
even
and,
legal? Are they allowed to do that, Lee?
It wasn't me.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. That's
It
Oh
was
brilliant.
yeah,
great.
I was no part of that vetting process.
No, not yet.
Gino and Luis did all the recruiting, and they just told me, it's like, hey, we got somebody. There's blah 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 blah. I was like, man, it sounds awesome. Let's roll.
And
But
also, we've met each other too, which is really cool. Like we've
Yeah.
all taken the time to see each other in different places. I went down to Louisiana and Travis and I became so close, and now he knows my
Oh,
brother.
no
and
way.
Gino,
That's
yeah,
amazing.
And I
Gino
flew
and I
out
see
to,
each other. Go ahead,
yep,
Gino.
and
Sorry.
then I flew out to Puerto Rico to see Luis, and Brett I saw over the weekend at his family's house and everything. I'm still waiting on Travis and Lisa whenever I get that invite. And me and Natalia were hanging out with my husband, and we toured the town of food and restaurants and some of the bars and stuff. So we get to hang out and talk and see everybody. So it's really
The
cool.
story just keeps getting better and better. I love it. You're all invited to Boulder as well. And if you're ever in Colorado, come this way, or Austin, Texas, for that matter, and see our.
Right. My stepdaughter lives in Colorado Springs.
Yeah, which is, it's less than 3 hours from here. Yeah, yeah.
We're going to
Chef,
Oregon next year to see Chef Lee.
I love it. I love it.
Awesome. Chef, can I insert something?
Yes,
I
please.
just want to also say about the community of the Les Misfits d'Escoffier. While we were going through a pandemic, I also experienced even more tragedy. We had hurricanes down here like crazy. And I tell you, this group of this group of individuals was so supportive. Every last one of them, especially Gino. Gino was like, he called me, make sure, if I needed anything, food, whatever. And even if, I needed to relocate for a few, he offered to fly me out and everything. So I just want to send a big shout out to you guys. I truly and genuinely love you from the bottom of my heart. You guys were a great support system during that time, because I had a double, dose of drama going on besides the pandemic, and we dealing with hurricanes down here. We didn't have power for like a few days and stuff like that, but we got through it. And with the help of Chef Lee and this group, you guys were very supportive, and I'm truly grateful.
So well said. So well said, and recorded now. So we'll be sharing that with the world. Let's go back up to Chef Lee, because it's so clear how this group feels about you and your leadership. And I'm curious what your role in the group was when you first started, and how has that transformation continued today?
Well, I think when I was asked to join the group, it was because I had a sense of camaraderie with the three students, that I mentioned earlier. had, you mentioned earlier getting goosebumps about something when Natalia was talking about the pasta. And I would look at these assignments or hear what they had to say in class and have a visceral response to that because I was so moved by their passion and what they were doing. So I think, that's how I entered the group, was I would say as a friend.
Did they interview you as well? Or did you get a pass on that?
Some weeks they did.
Yeah,
We're going
Louis
to answer
did.
a
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
questions.
You guys, you're bad.
Yeah, I have
You're
to
bad.
say, Chef, the knowledge and the amount of caringness towards the teachers, because I've, worked in a lot of places, met a lot of chefs. The fact that they want you to succeed is so overwhelming. They're there every step of the way. If you have questions, emails, they get back. I didn't wait more than a half a day, 24 hours at most without someone getting back to me. But out of all the chefs, Chef Lee just had a special place in my heart. She really cared. She gave you honest feedback. And if things didn't go right, I know my brown roux didn't come out right. And, I had to call Chef Travis to see what he wanted me to do it. And, I could have just got the grade that she gave me, but it wasn't good enough. She pushed me to do it over, and I learned what I did wrong. And when I make it now, I know the difference between the dark roux and my broken roux, basically. And, if it wasn't for Chef Lee, I would have just been like, oh, whatever, I'll just accept it. But she just pushed me, and she didn't tell me to do it. She encouraged me to make me want to do it. And the chefs that you have at the school is nothing but exceptional.
So kind. And it's a gift, right? That Chef Lee has this ability to make you want to be better, right?
Mm-hmm.
To do better. Elisa, I'm going to come your way here. I'm curious, just from a technology perspective, what was the evolution of the call? I'm curious, did it start out with a Zoom session, or did you guys start FaceTiming, or what was the frequency of the meetings?
Of how I met the Misfits?
Yeah, and how you continue. So it's one thing. What I think what blows me away the most is, moments in time are pretty achievable. It's like, hey, let's all get together and talk about this, that, the other. But to continue, here we are. Years after you have finished your programs and you're building your empires and you're moving in different directions, and here you are all together chatting with me. There's got to be something more than just a Zoom session.
Well, I'm an only child, so I've never had the siblings, and I'm probably not the best at staying, in contact and just, initiating a lot of things. But I always know they're right there, and I know they're just a text away. I jump in and I think about them all the time, and I'm always thinking of things like, what can we do? What can I do? How can I get down to see them? But I just got married in December, so I'm always having something go on. But now my schedule's cleared. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm hoping that this fall and that I can start traveling and things. But I met Louis and Gino in Chef Stephanie's the Culture Club, right? Club Hub, not Culture Club. That's a different band.
Love that band.
That's a different
They're
band.
coming
Now
to
you're talking
Charlotte
my
soon.
genre. You're talking my genre. Yeah, that's old school. Yeah.
I don't remember if we made baklava or sushi, but I don't know. I got out of that session, and I got into my Facebook, and I see Dino Vento sent me a friend request, and I'm like, well, this has to be a hacked profile. Can't be the real Dino Vento.
Who's that? Who's Gino Vento?
So real. Dino Vento was a bucket list item, to go and try the 2 Philly subs across the street, after seeing all the, watching Food Network back in the day. And Dino was actually a bucket list item for me. And now he's a buddy.
How do you feel about that, Gino?
That's
You're
true.
a bucket. Have you ever been called a bucket list item before? I
No,
kind of like it.
And I was honored, but I was shocked. I'm like, really? Of all the places you want to? And she's like, no, we've been wanting that on our radar for years. And the fact that I know you, and I'm like, well, whenever you're in town, call me. I will rearrange the schedule. I have to have you sit inside my VIP booth, and I'll get you on the grill, make a cheesesteak and this and that. And she's like, deal.
This is insane.
Yeah.
I've got to get
I
everybody's
know.
social media handles and all this
Yes.
stuff. This
Yeah.
is crazy. This is
Yeah,
crazy.
I'm like
Can I
the
chime in for a
ADD
minute?
one of the bunch. I've got like severe ADD, like, I'm always doing different
No.
things, painting, or
Oh,
I'm honing it in now. I'm like, taking the best thing out of everything and gonna just hone it in. And
Yeah, and we nickname Alicia Chef Bubbles because she's
Chef
always
Bubbles.
bubbly, happy, always smiling. Even when putting assignments together or cooking something, she has a smile on her face. It's like she does everything, and it's just like, okay, I'll do it. And it's like, la la la.
and we weren't even. I was what a quarter. I was behind you guys.
Yep.
We weren't even in
Behind.
the same class or anything. And yeah,
I'm going to send you guys. I'll send you guys the video. I mean, she got up. Usually I own the microphone, especially at graduation. She got up there and I'm like, okay, give me the microphone back. Give me the microphone back.
No,
Yes.
that's what made her
Yeah.
so fun within our group. It's like,
Yeah.
and she's got the name Chef Bubbles for a reason. It's just like, like we didn't share a class together, but it's like, I really wish I would have.
Then again, I don't know how much work we would have
Come
gotten
on up.
done.
You need to come up in the summer and in the winter.
No,
I'm
no,
not
you're
coming up to 10 feet of snow. Okay.
No way.
So I think I think I know the
Only
answer.
comes.
I think I know the answer to this one. So it started out more really collaborating on your schoolwork, right? I think that was the
Sure.
genesis, right, of this. But I think I have my answer here. But this became, I don't want to say it became informal, but it became like, just conversational, right? So did you find yourselves talking to each other about life, about pets, the
I
weather?
can answer that one. I think, and I was thinking about this morning, and I think it has progressed beyond that. I think more than just the friendship. I mean, these guys are like family right now. We've called each other with different problems, whether they're personal problems or professional problems. We've talked to each other about everything. We've become family. I mean, we've been there to support each other through illnesses, through all kinds of things. So way beyond the professional part, the culinary part, we talk about a lot of other things. I mean, sometimes I know that Gino and I talk a lot, and I mean, we always end up with, "What are you cooking tonight?" But that's the last part. That's
I
the
love
last
that.
part
I
of
love that.
Like that sounds
the
better than my
conversation.
dinner. It's-
There will be a cookbook coming out.
Oh, I love
There will be a
Like-
collaborative cookbook at some point.
that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
I'm sorry, Chef Lee. I hear about you all the time, and I'm very sad that I didn't have the opportunity to have you. But I loved every one of my instructors, every one of them. I still try to stay in contact with them, but
That's the part that's so fascinating to, like, I can fully understand if it's one cohort, right? Lee, you've probably seen this, right? Certain cohorts, they just mesh, but you weren't all in the same class, if I'm understanding that correctly. And that's what's unbelievable.
Well, when we went from one semester or the length of the classes, we were hoping that we were going to all be in our classes. And I forget, was it term 3? We were like within one class of each other, and then we would be in class and then like texting each other saying, "Oh, which chef do you have? What assignment are you on?" And we would just start talking.
So we were in a group text together, and
Yes.
fortunately, all of us had iPhones in the group text, which was great.
Which makes it easier.
So we
Yeah.
FaceTimed each other, and so we just kind of hung out a few times. And it's like,
Even after class.
I know a certain somebody, I'm not going to say any names, but a certain somebody, was cooking some rice, and then some little critters came out there, and
Oh,
we were all cooking together. We were on this FaceTime Zoom, and it was the most hilarious thing. It's like
Why is my
you can
black
never
rice
trust your
moving?
rice.
What?
Yeah, it's like that's why you always wash your rice, because you don't know where it's coming from, But
We won't
that's
mention
really
Natalia's
what
name.
kept us together.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I was going to come to Natalia anyway, and this is a perfect lead in, and I promise that Brett and I didn't set this up, but it seems appropriate now. Each of you is located in a different part of the country, right? And so there's different time zones. I'm curious, you mentioned you were in Death Valley for a bit, cooking, and I'm just curious how challenging or how the obstacle that you saw as time differences and location differences, and how did you overcome that? How did you make that a positive?
I personally loved Escoffier for this reason, because I travel all the time and my husband travels all the time. So for me, it was so incredible to have this program where all I needed was my computer, and I could be anywhere, all over the country, in the desert, in my home in Philly. I was also living in New York at the same time. So I was traveling in between New York and Philly, and then going out traveling for fun. And so that was incredible, because I could turn in my projects whenever like I needed to. I could get to a computer and I knew exactly when my classes were going to be. And so it was probably the most incredible thing about going to culinary school here, was that reason that I could at any time or any place do a project. And these guys kept me on it all the time. And I think also something that is really interesting about this group of friends is that we all really cared a lot. And I think that's why we all got together, because I love that you said that we all graduated with honors, and we're all really proud of that. So we weren't, I don't want to say half doing it. We were all actually giving 100% to everything. And that's why we all clicked. And I think that's why we all found each other. That's what's so cool about this program.
Yeah. And you guys were leaning in. This will be really funny. Were you guys competitive? And if you were, who was at the top of that podium?
Luis.
No, I feel like everybody was so complimentary
But
of
we
each
would
other.
cheer each other on.
Oh my gosh, so much. We would send our
Such a
plating
good
and
answer.
oh, it
Such a
was
good
so
answer.
good.
Yeah.
Everybody loved each other. We'd be like, "That's gorgeous. That's beautiful. You're doing so good." It was
Y'all
so
did the
cool.
work. Yeah.
My plating in the beginning was
really-
horrible because
Yeah.
I grew up Italian style and everything was family. So I didn't know how to do plating, and Natalia and Luis helped me out amazing. I never liked my food touching, and they taught me how to marry the food to make it coexist, we'll say.
This is open to anyone. This is kind of an extended question. We recently had Dr. Terrell Strayhorn on the podcast. He's an American scholar and a college professor. And he authored a book called College Students' Sense of Belonging. And so I have a couple of quotes from his book. He says, belonging with peers in the classroom or on campus is a crucial part of the college experience. It can affect a student's degree of academic achievement or even whether they stay in school or not. When he was on the podcast, he mentioned to me, and again, I quote, he said, building a sense of belonging is a feeling that reflects the extent to which people feel connected to others, that they feel cared about, that they feel they play an important role in the group, and that their contributions are valued. So let me stop there. There's a lot there to unpack. I'd love to see to the floor how that resonates with you. How has Les Misfits created a sense of belonging for each of you individually?
Well, I think everybody has a longing for belonging. Everybody wants to be a part of a group. I mean, personally, in the military, they teach you the sense of unit, teamwork from day one. And here, because we found each other, like Natalia said, and we wanted to. I don't think any one of us wanted to coast. Not a single one of us wanted to. Well, I gotta be. I did the focaccia 4 times, 5 times. I'm just gonna.
Here we go with
By
focaccia.
that, we wanted to be. We wanted to be the best, and because of that, we pushed each other, and I think it made it easier to get to the course than by ourselves. So we really meshed together. We really we bonded in a way that we were never sarcastic. We were never demean each other. We wanted to elevate each other. We wanted to help. And like Natalia said, each one of us had, not will say expertise, but we were good at this, we were good at that, and we helped each other with that. And because it was like 8 of us, it really helped. And belonging to a group, it really, really helped. I mean,
are you all naturally extroverts? Is this something that surprised any of you, that you were drawn to a group like this?
Alicia is the extrovert here. We're kind of introverts, all of us.
Bubbles, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Chef Lee and Alicia, they are the extroverts.
Wait a minute.
I'm definitely an introvert.
I'm an extrovert.
I'm an extrovert. Yeah.
But I have to say one thing I do miss is Travis's chef, I got a question. And then it would go into a story. And he's the best storyteller, and he puts his personality, his hand gestures, and oh my God, we would just be laughing up a storm.
And there goes the 30 minutes.
Yeah.
One question.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
I just wanted to go back to what you were saying about the sense of community. I think that my experience at Escoffier was so incredible, but this enriched it so much. And if there are students that are listening to this, I would encourage them to do what we did. And the way to do that is use the tools that Escoffier gave us, like the ways to start communicating with each other. Like we have a chat, you have a chat room. I made a lot of other friends too by just like, oh, I saw that wink. Oh, I saw that nod, and messaging them. So reach out, because people want to communicate. They want to have a moment like this. So if you're a student and you have that chance, don't be shy. Like everybody wants you to reach out to them. So be that person and make that connection, because the connection does matter so much. And meeting people and having this community works so well and helps you just do so well and just expand as a human being and as a chef. Thank you.
Can we put everything you just said on TikTok over and over and over again?
Yes.
I mean, just a beautiful summary.
Don't be afraid to. Like, I feel like a lot of people are afraid to communicate, So it's like you get one person that reaches out to another person. It's like, hey, we share the same interests and stuff. So let's get it going. Let's talk about this stuff.
It's a great point, Brett. And if you look at education in general, right? When you become an adult learner, the challenge is that self-esteem is on the table, right? If you ever watch a classroom of 8th graders or 5th graders, and teacher asks a question, every hand goes up, especially the boys in the room. They don't know the answer, but they like the attention and they'll make something up. But when you're an adult learner, it's stressful, right? Self-esteem is on the line. You may know the answer, but you may be hesitant to share the answer because what will people think if I get it wrong? That kind of thing. Natalia needs to run.
Sorry.
No, don't apologize. Thank you for joining us. We will keep your photo in the final edit for the duration. Thank you for joining us.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, this has been so incredible. I'm so sorry. But they, I'm sure, can tell you that my dish will have, like, my ultimate dish will have something to do with pasta. So whatever their imagination is.
Her pasta is the best pasta ever. I swear, like, midnight pasta is so legit and so delicious. Like, oh, that's all I use is midnight pasta.
I love it.
Look at that. Thank you. I'm sorry to have to leave.
No worries whatsoever. Take care.
Bye,
Take care.
Chef Kerr, can I add something to this?
Yeah, please.
I know for me, the classes I want to say kind of humbled me a little, because I figured every time, every week I got an assignment, I was going to do it perfect every time. And I really enjoyed making the mistakes sometimes, because it made me focus more on the recipe. I mean, anybody can read a recipe, but when you follow the steps, or maybe you missed something because you were over reading it. And a few times Chef Lee would say, like, Gina, did you do this? Or why don't we try it this way? And I would go back. For the students out there, don't be afraid to make mistakes, because the more mistakes you make, the better chef you're going to be, because you're going to learn from them and grow. That was my biggest thing I got out of school was, oh my God, if I cook, I have to do everything perfect. And a certain chef on this table over here taught me differently. And I cook differently now, but it was definitely like, you're here to make mistakes. This is your testing ground. Think of it as America's test kitchen. You're like, every recipe is not going to come out perfect. There's going to be bloopers. And I learned with the class, and especially with these guys were, like Lewis said, family. Like, we would bounce ideas off and everything. So don't be afraid to make a mistake, or maybe you mise en place and you forgot one or two ingredients. You had to do it real fast. Things will happen, but just, believe in yourself and things will grow.
So well said. I'm going to make Lee blush a little bit again. Here's what's really touching is how much respect you have for the mentorship that you receive from Chef Lee, and that's not easy, right? To impact people across the country in different cohorts, different time zones, with different ambitions and such. From watching the way she mentored you, how important is it to each of you to mentor your next generation of cooks coming up behind you?
Oh, I would say definitely. It's very important. Chef Lee was so thorough. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is the kind of cook I used to be. I used to be the kind of cook where, especially in culinary school, I was kind of like Gino, kind of like somewhat perfectionist, wanted to get it right. And I mean, I would beat myself up. And I said, when she got to me, for some reason, I just felt I don't know. It was just like a sense of sereneness, like, just came over me. And like, Travis, you don't have to do this. You just do what you love to do. You love to cook. You love to feed people. You love to prepare food. Just go ahead and do what you do, and everything will fall in place. And of course, Chef Lee was right there, taking it step by step. And she would tap me on the hand in a sense and say, well, you need to fix this, you need to fix that, and I'd like to see this, and I'd like to see that. And yes, I would beat myself up about it, but at the end of the day, like Gino said, it makes for a better chef. You're not perfect. You're not going to know everything. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Get into communities that'll support you, like the group that we have. All that can help you to become a better chef, a better cook, a better person, and just a well-rounded individual, in my opinion.
Really well said. I was going to throw a little story in there. Some of you might know that, personally, I'm fourth generation, and my father is 87 now, and he, is still baking in the, in his home kitchen and such. And so he's a master pastry chef by European standards, came to America in the 60s. But one thing that he said to me 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and I've always taken it with me, because we have a lot of students that come our way that are really concerned about being a chef. They're really concerned about the label. They're really concerned about what other people think. My father has always said to me, just focus on being a great cook for life. Focus on being a great cook for life, and then everything else will take care of itself. Number one question that I've always had in my years of running culinary schools is students always want to know when they're going to be a chef. And it was a question I posed to my father as well. And his simple response was, you're a chef when other people call you a chef. So don't put that pressure. Don't put that pressure on yourselves, right?
That's what Chef Kareem taught us, was when you're in the field and you're cooking, and it's when your counterparts start calling you chef.
Yeah. As long as your paycheck says chef on it, everything's good, right?
At the
Hey,
end of the day,
I'm
it is.
mostly in my
Absolutely.
kitchen, so
Yeah. You know, are you guys all still okay with time? I know
Yeah, that's
we're
fine.
officially
That's
longer
fine.
than
We're
any
good.
other podcast
We're
ever has
here.
been. So good,
I
because
don't believe that.
I've got a few more questions.
Okay, can excuse me, chef. I'm sorry. Can I kind of piggyback off of what you've been talking about as
Yeah,
far as like
please.
a acknowledgement and stuff like that? So I'm a chef instructor now, and I have like teenagers calling me chef and stuff. And prior to that, I was the sous chef and stuff like that, but nobody would ever acknowledge me as, Chef Brett. And so for the last couple of months, everybody's been doing that. And it's like a bit surreal at times, but I tell people it's like, you just call me Brett, because at the end of the day, I'm me. I'm Brett Nugent. And let's work together, let's teach, let's learn. And it's it's the greatest thing ever. It's like I don't need any sort of validation or anything like that. It's nice to hear. I'm not gonna lie. It is nice to hear. It's like Chef Brett. It's like, ooh, I was like, it has a nice ring, you know. But
I
it's
agree
it's
with you.
like when you're in the trenches with someone and you knock out a service and you're the grinder and stuff. That's where I feel like a cook becomes a chef. And it's like, and if you could lead someone and give them direction into the overall success of whatever culinary adventure you're on, then it's like that makes you a chef.
Well, and
And
I think
it's
we
just
all appreciate your humility, but Brett, also know that you've earned it, right? You're not suggesting that you're
I've
standing
put in
in
my
front.
work. We've all had though,
Yeah.
like all
So,
those misfits.
Yeah.
We all have to our which like what makes Les Misfits the Escoffier so special is that we are special in our own ways. And we come from all these different backgrounds, but we all have the same goal and to being the best chef that we can be. And it doesn't matter what field you're in. Like you could be a hotel chef, you could be a short order cook, you could be a digital creator, or you could be running some awesome 6-course menu personal dining thing, and which commands hundreds of dollars for a simple meal at night. And it's like there's all different levels of chef. And which is great is that we've all found that within ourselves, and that's what brings us all together. And we all offer something different. Like if I were to go and hang out with Chef Travis today, I would be his student because I'm in his field, and that's what makes him special. And I'll just be taking notes the entire time. And I'm just an avid learner. I'm always going to be learning how to cook until the day I die. And
Yes.
what makes me special is that I feel as though that I can cook anything, but I don't specialize in any particular style. I'm just trying to get a grasp on every culture's cuisine and being able to execute it when called upon. And that's my goal as a chef. And it's just so fascinating to know all these other misfits here and what's making them special. And this is the best thing for me about our group, because everyone's extraordinary in their own way. And like Chef Lee, she's an instructor. It's like I'm becoming an instructor. It's like being able to handle students and to talk to students as they are students. It's like it's a whole special trait on its own. It's like being able to cook is one thing, but being able to teach people how to cook is entirely another. And it's like, I tip my hat off to her, and it's it's great. What we have together as a team is the best thing for me.
I'm glad you took the day off today, Brett.
Yeah,
Thank-
me too.
You guys have all clearly gone the extra mile. Not only in the group that you formed, but you've created, a logo and shirts and aprons and certificates for your members. You run an Instagram page. Can someone talk a little bit about the Instagram page and where that content comes from? Are there boundaries? Is it open to all? And
Yeah.
And along those same lines, while you're talking about how this has all come together, it's going to serve as a blueprint for the next group of misfits, right? People are going to be inspired by what you've accomplished, and maybe even envious of the beautiful friendships, right? And that's mission accomplished. So, in addition to talking a little bit about, your social media presence and how you orchestrate that, maybe even a few thoughts on advice for the next misfit group. What would that be?
First of all, the Instagram page, I wanted to create a place where we can showcase our talents, where we can showcase what we've done, how we're progressing, and also our businesses, whatever we are creating. Is it open to? Yeah, of course, it's open to all of us misfits, and there's no rules. We basically, people send me stuff, and I just put it up, and they give me a description of what to say, and we post it up. As far as the other people coming behind us, they need to understand that in order to succeed, yeah, you can do it by yourself, but you're gonna need some help. I mean, we're not meant to be alone. So they need to get together, find people that are like-minded, and most definitely find a mentor. I mean, we very lucky, extremely lucky that we got Chef Lee with us, and she mentored us to the very end. But yes, they need to find people that are like-minded, that they get together and they have a purpose. Uh, the Misfits gave me a purpose to graduate with honors. Then afterwards, once we got into the professional side, it helped me to validate what I was doing. A lot of times, me being probably the young one, not because of the hair, but because of the amount of time in the industry, I didn't know how a line worked. So I would call these guys at the end of my shift at midnight, like, do you know what happened? Is this the right thing? Is this? And I would call Chef Lee. Sometimes I'll have problems. So I will ask her for advice on how to act. But if it hadn't been for that, I mean, I would have been lost. I mean, completely. It would have taken me a lot longer to get my foot in the door. But it was great having the misfits together. So people need to find a group. It'll do them a lot of good, and a mentor.
How about you, Travis?
Well,
What advice do you have?
my advice would be, if you're accepted into Escoffier School of Culinary Arts, my advice would be to really delve into the subject matter. If this is something that you want to do, I believe this is the school to do it. This school has a phenomenal support system like any other school that I've attended, and I've been to college. When you go to university college, there's no support like this from instructors, other students that's willing, have open door policies, teachers, even the staff at Escoffier. I would say delve into the subject matter, take advantage of every opportunity, and just to really ask questions. Anything, do not hesitate. They will help you. And also, once again, piggybacking off of Luis, definitely find that sense of community. The misfits, we found each other due to our spirits. I feel like all of our spirits were attracted to each other, and we just formed a beautiful group of people from all shades, all backgrounds. And you know what? Hey, we did what we had to do and we became family. And I think that's the key to anyone's survival in any atmosphere that you go into.
I'm on the page right now. Who's responsible for the braised chicken thighs and white wine, tomatoes and mushrooms? Very nice. Very nice.
He's also responsible for the focaccia. I'm just kidding.
Hey, Chef Lee, how proud are you of this
Oh my
group?
gosh. You know, I was thinking about that before our meeting today, and I worked as a private chef for 15 years, and the children of the guy that I worked for were very interested in what I did in the kitchen and wanted to learn. And so I really loved not only teaching them how to do some cooking or how to, you know, break down a fish or that sort of thing, but watching their palates develop.
Mhm.
And so I can kind of relate that to what I'm doing here at Escoffier as an instructor. I get to, like I said earlier, I get to see people grow and develop as chefs. And I don't know how much I'm proud. I'm impressed. You know, we've got to me, if I say I'm proud, it's like, I don't know. It's we're all on the same level. I learned from my students when they were in my class. I think probably, you know, just as much as they learned from me. Maybe I was learning about something different, but just super impressed.
That's the ultimate compliment.
Yeah.
Bravo. Bravo.
You're an amazing
Well said,
teacher.
Chef.
Chef, can I say something to Brett for just a second?
Yeah.
Brett, about you saying about, you know, you being called chef. Let me tell you something, Brett. I don't know what was going on, but let me tell you, I don't know what it is when you walk into an establishment and you have culinary education versus the other people. They feel some kind of way about it. And
For
they're
real.
scared,
Yes, they do.
they're intimidated and everything. And at one time, even the person who hired me was intimidated by me. And it was really, really crazy. But you know what? I think when you hear that word chef for the first time, it hits you and you just feel some type of way. When I tell you,
Does.
I got that compliment from a person who's been in the industry, and that's a chef 30 years, and called me chef. And let me tell you,
That's-
nothing could damper my day. That like nothing could rain on my parade after that. I was like, you know what?
For
I got
sure.
this compliment right from somebody who's been in this thing longer than me, and they actually have the education that I have. That was the best compliment I could have got ever.
That's a beautiful thing, man. And it's like, it makes you feel better when you're called that the first time, especially from someone as dignified as that person was. You know, it's like, it makes you feel like you've made it. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, wow, I have made it. I went through the culinary school. I've had this experience in the industry. It's like, you know what? I am something. And it's like,
Yes.
I am that chef. I am Chef Brett Nugent. For sure. It's beautiful, you know, and it's really rewarding, you know, and just for all your hard work that you put in and everything. But I'm telling you, Travis, if I ever come to visit you in Louisiana, I'm going to be your student. That is 10 out of 10 every time.
Well,
You know, it's like we all know how to cook, man, but it's like I want to make what you like. Chef Travis made the most beautiful final presentation ever. Like he made this gumbo with this rice, and like there was crab there, and like
I
the
have
crab
it.
claw was like hanging out. Oh my god, it was so beautiful. It's like and like I was like, okay, I'm not as strong as the chef as Travis is. It's like, you know, and it's like it's all about having humility and everything. It's like
Exactly.
we're yeah, and it's like we're all great for some reason, you know, but
Yes.
we're all still human and we're all still learning, you know, and it's like it's just about paying homage to, you know, to people that deserve it, and each one of us deserves it in our own way. And
That's right. I looked at some work that I thought that was better than mine, or whatever. And so I just feel like, you know what? hey, if you stop learning, you cease to exist. So you have to continue having that open mind about learning everything. And one thing about culinary, it's a continuous thing. It's always continuing ed, trends updating, all kinds of things. So we have to stay abreast of all these things.
Yeah.
Can I just say to each of you, to a person, you're well-spoken, you're thoughtful, you're kind, and I spend a lot of time trying to ensure that we live up to our mission as a school, that our vision, our North Star, is well articulated to everyone. But I'm different after having listened to all of you today. I feel some sense of emotion, validation that, we're getting this right. And
For
so I
sure.
just want to thank you each for that. And Chef Lee, thank you for keeping them in their lanes. And
I think a lot of the culinary education really kicked in during externship in the dish pit with the executive chef on Mother's Day. Yeah, I never worked so hard. I never worked. It was brutal. And the executive chef, everybody else was running in the kitchen, and the executive chef actually had to get in there and do dishes too. And I had to keep up with him. And at the end, he shook my hand and he was like, "You did awesome." And I was like, oh, I felt like, hey, it's not just cooking, it's not just pan sauces, it's supporting guys on the grill, make sure they're getting their pans so they can cook, and getting covered in slime and everything else just to support the kitchen staff, and that was it. You got to be humble, and you have to work hard, and
you're not supposed to make the host cry.
I tell you one little quick story. I got to jump off real quick, but 2 years ago, I was in a restaurant with Chef Antonio, and for Christmas of New Year's, we had this huge dinner. It was it was like tasting menu, 8 different dishes. First time plating like that. I was super excited. I pressed my jacket up, good to go. Showed up to work, and the dishwasher didn't show up. So everybody looked around. I'm like, yeah, I'm the junior guy. Take my jacket off and get in there. And it was like, I think we got 85 covers, 8 dishes. Everybody's bringing me glasses of champagne. I'm like, just get them away from me. I don't want to see you. I don't want to talk to you. But, you have to do what you got to do. But if it had not been for what we learned at the school, there's no way I could have made the first week or two at a high volume restaurant. And I told every single one of these guys, if it had not been for the school, I could have never made it.
Yeah, Chef Green said, make those dishes the cleanest dishes they've ever seen. And so went in there with that attitude, But
Luis, do you have to jump?
Yeah.
So before you jump, we've sort of come to the end, but you know that the name of the podcast is The Ultimate Dish. So I cannot let you go until we either in unison or one at a time share what the ultimate dish is. So Luis, you go first.
Okay, I go first, so I got to get going. But anything savory, cassoulet, French cassoulet, that's, you serve that to me any day and I'll be happy.
You got my attention.
See you guys later.
Thanks for joining.
Later.
Thank you, Luis.
Ciao,
Take
Luis.
care.
Thank you.
All right, Elisa, ultimate dish.
my ultimate dish is not any dish in particular. It's what I create with either my husband or my friends. So we come up with something together, and I can show them and they can show me, and we get to sit down and share it. That's always my ultimate dish, because I never want to eat the same thing twice. My ultimate dish is something that I make with someone I love or someone that I'm friends with. That's always my ultimate dish. Always.
And that's a perfect response. That's a perfect response.
I didn't mean it to be perfect, but
It can be. Gino.
it comes from the heart, That's
Absolutely.
I would have to say my dish, I'm more comfort and Italian, so I would have to go with like maybe a stuffed meatloaf with a creamy cheese mac or like mashed potatoes, or even going simple as a chicken parm with some pasta and, you know, a tiramisu at the end.
I love it. You've thought about this a little bit. Nicely
Sounds
done.
good.
Nice.
I might make it tonight.
Brett, how about you?
So one of my favorite things to create is actually focaccia. It's like, I know we have the running joke within our group, but what I do is I take the focaccia and then I turn it into a pizza, and I make a vodka sauce for the top of the focaccia. So it's like after I bake the focaccia and it's beautiful and ready to eat, I'll make a vodka sauce and then put that on top of it and throw that back in the oven just for a few minutes. And I call it the vodka focaccia, and it is like one of the best deep dish pizzas you'll ever eat. But side note, I hate spinach. Well, like I hate cooked spinach, but a couple of my friends have been wanting me to make cream spinach for them and stuff. I used to do it at the hospital that I worked in, but I have become an expert in making cream spinach, and I eat it every time I cook it. And it's like, honest to God, I truly do not like cooked spinach. And like, and it's the perfect dish for like a side of steak or some hearty protein. And it's like cream spinach. It's like I make a bechamel and then throw in a bunch of cheese and squeeze out the spinach to where there's like no water in it. And you add it back in. Sometimes you can put a crumb topping on it, and it's phenomenal. And I actually low-key enjoy cream spinach.
No, that's a story of success right there. You're making
But I
it the
could cook
right
a sweet
way.
potato.
Yeah.
Yes. But let me tell you, the number one vegetable in North Carolina is the sweet potato. And I
Sure.
can make the best sweet potato casserole ever, mashed sweet potatoes. It's like that was my one goal in living here as a chef, is to make the best version of the sweet potato, because it's my state's national, or my state's number one vegetable.
I love it. Chef Lee, what's your ultimate dish?
If I'm cooking for other people, it's quite different than what it is if I'm just preparing food for myself. If y'all were going to come to my house for dinner, I would make a rack of lamb with gnocchi and whatever green vegetables in season. For me, my ultimate dish is the perfect, and I know I always say perfect is boring, but I don't mean it in the perfect summer tomato, thick slice on a plate with a little olive oil and salt and pepper. I'm as happy as I can be.
Simplest.
10 out of 10.
I love it. Is anyone
10 out of
surprised
10,
by
Chef Lee.
Chef Lee's response? No.
No.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Can't wait to hear
Chef-
what
Chef Lee
Travis has
knows
to
what's
say.
All right, bring us home.
God.
Bring us
Bring
home,
us home,
Travis.
Travis.
Bring us home. Bring us home.
All right. I would have to say that the ultimate dish for me would have to be anything savory. A dish that's a labor of love. And of course, in my opinion, that would be a dish that would be considered a dish where you build flavor. And several of those dishes can be that, but just to please Gino, I'm going to say gumbo. Yeah, I can make. I know how to make it several different ways. The original gumbo was made with okra, but I know how to make it with. I know how to do it all. I know how to do the okra gumbo. I know how to do the Creole gumbo. I know how to do it all.
What's your favorite place to get
Yeah, he
gumbo in
does.
New Orleans?
Without a doubt, Dookie Chase.
Very nice.
And let me tell you, there's a lot of gumbos in Louisiana and New Orleans for sure. And let me tell you something. I will say this. That gumbo comes about as close as it possibly can to my gumbo. And why I'm saying that is because my gumbo is a generational gumbo. That gumbo came down from my great-grandmother. And it was passed down through the family, and everybody put their spin on it and made it better. So I would say where we are right now, that was the gumbo I've tasted that gets like, that's the one that's the closest as possible.
That's the way it's supposed to be. This has been absolutely so much fun. I can't thank you all enough for joining
Thank
us
you
on
for
the
having
Ultimate
us,
Dish.
Chef.
I'll
Chef,
be
can I
sure to
add
get
something real quick?
Yeah, of course.
Sorry, I was a chef at the hospital for a while, and we needed to make gumbo one week for a catering event, and
I
I
know where
called up Travis. Yeah, you know I was gonna bring
I
it
know
up.
where you're going.
So I texted him. I was like, "Hey, man, I'm doing a catering. Can you give me some pro tips on some gumbo?" And being us as friends in the group that we are, it was no problem for him. I called him up. We were on the phone for like 2 hours, and it was nothing but pro tips. It's like they teach you like the fundamentals in school and stuff like that. But Travis is like, listen, if you're going to do it like this, then you got to do it like that. And it's like, those are the things that you can't get from a textbook. And this is what makes our group so special, because whenever we're dealing with a different culture's food and having to cook it, I'll hit up one of my chefs. I'm in the Southeast. So it's like, if I want to make cheesesteaks or pasta in the Northeast, I'll hit up Gino and Natalia. It's like, if I'm going Creole, it's like I got Travis there. And then, we've got Minnesota, and then we have Washington, and then Luis in Puerto Rico. So we have all these different regions of food. And I think what makes a country special, whatever region in the world there are, is their cuisine. And we have the diversity within our culinary group to execute things. I'll specialize in barbecue, sweet potatoes, soul food. I legit can cook soul food out the wazoo. But we'll all interact with each other. It's like, hey man, how you do this? And it's like, we're all willing to say, look, this is what you got to do. And we're all family. Like, we have built this family. It's been 3 years since we started this group. And I was able to see Gino over the past weekend. And I told him, it's like, we've been friends for 3 years now, and like, we're all still growing. And it's beautiful, the friendship that all of us have. And that's what has made Escoffier great, and I'm forever appreciative to it.
So well said, Brett. Appreciate that very much. And this won't be the last you hear of us. We're going to have to bring this group together a little bit more frequently. I've got some ideas.
Yeah, we could start a reunion tour.
Yeah. Well,
Part two coming soon.
I've got an idea. We'll do a Zoom culinary paint party.
There you go.
I'm down for that.
Keep in mind we're here in Boulder. We have Austin, and we have different events that go on across the nation throughout the year. I have all your emails now, so beware. And I will get that video to you from graduation, because you all need to see that. But so thank you so much, and we'll absolutely be in touch, and we'll give you a heads up when this particular episode airs.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate all of you very much.
Sure, appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Ultimate Dish Podcast, brought to you by Auguste Escoffier School of Culinary Arts. Visit escoffier.edu/podcast, where you'll find any materials mentioned during the podcast, including notes, links, and other resources. You can also browse other episodes and subscribe.